Hi, I'm John McAuliffe, Chief Marketing Officer of VFM Leonardo, and welcome to the VTV channel. I'm pleased to tell you we have Phillip Wolfe, President and CEO of PhoCusWright with us today. Phillip is a well-known and well-regarded expert on trends and practices in travel e-business. He founded PhoCusWright in 1994, which is now the premier source for travel tourism and hospitality intelligence. Phillip is a highly sought-after speaker around the world and is frequently quoted in consumer and trade media. He is a former adjunct professor at NYU's Graduate Center for Hospitality and Tourism and is currently a distinguished lecturer at the Cornell University School of Hotel Administration. Phillip has served as board director for companies on 3 continents, currently for global media property T-News, Talking Travel Tech, and India's Make My Trip. Prior to PhoCusWright, Phillip was CEO of a venture-funded software developer and travel booking engine pioneer. Over the course of 5 episodes, Phillip and I are going to discuss the topic, Chaos Calls, Navigating the New. In this series of episodes, we will examine the forces that are transforming travel, tourism, and hospitality that all travel companies must confront. Our discussion is based on the theme of PhoCusWright's conference and will focus on how hoteliers can successfully navigate the new. Phillip, thank you for joining us on VTV today and welcome.
Pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Our episode under our theme of Chaos Calls, Navigating the New is tapping new travelers. Certainly, we know that the past couple of years have had some tough times for hoteliers. But despite these tough times, millions of travelers are on a quest for sensational experiences. Their search, shop, and buy behavior is unique. And the question is whether that necessitates tailor-made tools and services. In your opinion, Phillip, what does it mean for hoteliers to capture a piece of this great global potential?
It amazes me how in 2010 going forward, strategically, hoteliers and hotel marketers don't have a large enough view of what their potential visitor marketplace is. We talk about globalization all the time. At one level, we understand that a website or a smartphone app can be accessed by anybody. Yet when we revert to our day-to-day operations, we are inefficient at a broad outreach. I'll give you an example. I was recently giving a speech in Australia to the entire country's tourism professionals, and they outlined in a government-funded white paper that one of the key strategies to resuscitate inbound tourism was to target the Chinese marketplace, which at one level is a no-brainer. You have growing affluence, enormous numbers, and relative proximity to Australia. So I asked the audience, what's the #1 search site in China? And nobody knew. I'll spare you the long story. The answer is Baidu, not Google. So how could you be really serious about attracting a group of travelers if you don't understand many of them, when they sit down to search, shop, plan, share, and buy, what they're typing or tapping? I also sit on the board of directors of India's largest OTA, online travel agency, Make My Trip. I started when the company was founded in 2005. And in August, the company had an initial public offering on the NASDAQ, which was the most successful NASDAQ IPO since 2007. And predominantly, Make My Trip is targeting Indian travelers either for domestic travel or for outbound travel. And I think, John, for hoteliers, as they develop their strategy, it's important to appreciate every year young potential travelers and travelers have a broader view of possibilities when they pick a destination. So once upon a time, it was a big deal when the Caribbean destinations started to appreciate that maybe Florida was a competitor, or Mexico, or something even farther. But now, more and more, young people especially, they have a block of time available and an amount of money available. They'll go anywhere. So Iceland could be a competitor to Botswana, as absurd as that might otherwise sound. So it's really important to understand one of your biggest ways to grow and to compete is to appreciate and then target and then close the loop on how many millions of travelers there are around the world. And here's something that's interesting. Researchers estimate that the middle class, however you choose to define that, is roughly 2 billion people. And within a full generation, that global middle class population could swell to 4 billion. So tapping new travelers is essential. And marketers aren't doing it. They need to go back to the drawing board.
So in what ways, I mean, it's certainly, hoteliers, I would think, are finding this, and many other industries have found this, that this whole flat world phenomenon has really opened up the opportunity for us to talk to people in many, many different parts of the world. And it changes our strategies in not only how people find us, but in how we speak with them and the content that we have available to them. How, in your opinion, can I, as a hotelier, prepare myself for this this new type of traveler that is considering my location or my hotel versus something as you stated, as absurd as far away as Botswana? What can I do to appeal to that travel shopper?
There's no substitute for, using that emulation word again, what your target audiences were. I was in Oslo, Norway last week. And Norway has been very successful attracting both Japanese visitors for years and Chinese visitors for years. Now, what they do to attract those visitors is evolving every year. So get that blob mentality out of your mind, and it's classic marketing, targeting. Identify 10 outbound markets that you want to get to your hotel or to your chain, and really understand what are you doing on the web, what are you doing mobile, what are you doing in terms of search, do you have different sites for those different things. And it's not just things like language. It's interesting, a Spaniard and a Swede renting a car in Orlando, right? For the exact same car, will have very different expectations what the price of that car would be. And to the Scandinavians, if the price were what the Spaniard is paying, you could have a reverse effect where they might think something's wrong because it's too cheap. But if you don't think about local search and local pricing and go beyond just the obvious things of language, these new travelers all over the world are not going to fall into your lap, because your competitor will attract them instead.
Certainly, it would be good advice to be able to narrow that global marketplace down to, as you had indicated, identify 10 outbound markets and develop strategies around those. Is there any advice or ways that I can use content as a hotelier to create these experiences online that are going to entice global travelers to my hotel?
One hotelier, this is a good example, analyzed the nature of user-generated reviews for their hotels by country, and started to develop. It's not pure science, but there were definitely some trends identified as to how travelers from different origins wrote reviews and what aspects of the hotel experience were and were not important. Those trends can be translated, converted into the content to your question, John, of what to emphasize. So in a way, user-generated reviews is also free market research in terms of attributes and the importances they have. Another slightly different example is more and more hotel marketers are starting to understand that Twitter is also a great search engine. That's right, a search engine. And following closely certain key phrases. So if somebody says, I'm looking for a hotel in Rome, imagine if you were a hotel marketer and you had properties or property in Rome or near Rome, and you actually caught that tweet and were able to DM them real time, you're starting to connect with travelers. So there's lots of things you can do.
It's certainly very insightful information to use user-generated content to better understand travel shoppers from different parts of the world and translate that back into developing your content strategy to those marketplaces. Philip, once again, thank you very much for joining us on VTV and sharing your knowledge and your insights with us.
You're welcome, John.
To all the viewers out there, be sure to post your comments on this episode of VTV and subscribe to our feed to receive more valuable insights from industry experts. If you would like to suggest topics that you would like us to cover in future episodes, feel free to email us at vtv@vfmleonardo.com with your suggestions.